You're listening to the Rough and Tumble Podcast. This is episode 1. If you enjoy the podcast and you want to help us out, please subscribe to our YouTube. Go over to that. It's the Rough and Tumble Podcast is the YouTube name. And then you can also subscribe to our Instagram. Again, it'll be the Rough and Tumble Podcast. And then my personal Instagram is Compton Jonny, COMPTONJONNY. And then Mitch, you have an Instagram as well?
It is Mitch Hall, BJJ. Pretty simple.
Again, don't put in Mitch Hall BJ.
You have to add the second J.
Yeah, you get weird stuff whenever you miss that J. But we also have a Patreon, so if you are interested in helping us out monetarily, that'd be great if you could donate to that. If you see that link, that would help us out greatly. If you don't like the sound quality, then donate money to us so we can buy new crap. The number one biggest way that you can help is just sharing the podcast on social media, talk about it, and leave us a review on iTunes. And let's get into the episode.
You're listening to the Rough and Tumble Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I told you to remind me of my big BJJ idea, and I never.
Yeah.
You never reminded me, so it's basically your fault.
It was 100% my fault.
No, okay. So when I was about 17 to 18, I need to not hit things. 17 to 18, I had this. I lived in this house in Fayetteville, and it was like infamous because it was commercially zoned, and there were like 6 of us that lived there. And it was just this huge old halfway house. It had a basement, and then all 5 or 6 of us that lived there were all musicians. One of them had a recording studio in the basement. And so on the weekends, we'd move everything out of there and we'd have house shows. We'd bring in bands that were like way too fucking big to be playing in a basement.
Yeah.
But we were commercially zoned, so like nobody could give us noise complaints, nothing. We could do whatever we wanted. It was so badass. But anyways, I was thinking like, dude, how sweet would that be to do like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, almost like an open mat / like
With the band in the background?
tournament. You could have a band, you could have a DJ, just like in a basement, throw down some mats, have all like everybody just circles up around it, and like that kind of forms the barriers, the people, and then you get to call out whoever you want, like, hey, I want Mitch, let's do this, you know. And it's just like fun and friendly, competitive, but like a competitive open mat.
It literally sounds like a fight club.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
It's just a fight club. They made a movie about it.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've been watching. I think that would be a great idea though. Like I've been watching breakdancing tournaments. Have you ever watched breakdancing? It's so stupid. But
How do you win?
how to just be a better breakdancer?
But I don't even understand the moves.
Like I guess it's scored somehow. Like at 10 out.
We should look into how they
10.
score breakdance fights.
Yeah, we could revolutionize the
we
jiu-jitsu
could.
scoring system. My breakdance. I bet I did. Eddie Bravo.
There's no advantages. It's just
Yeah,
there's points only.
style. That's all it is. Dude. I'd win that match every time. Style. That's what I'm all about, bro. Who could be calling me this hour?
Who's calling at 10 o'clock in the morning?
I'm recording a podcast right now. Yeah, go ahead with your deal, your questions.
My 5 questions? Okay.
Mitch's got 5 questions for me.
All right. The first question, and I've always wanted to have this conversation, so because I never really got to talk about it after it happened. But it's gonna be true or false. We'll just do that. So true or false? You and I have fought before.
You made that true or false because you knew I was gonna come with some sarcastic bullshit. Right off the bat.
I limited your responses on purpose.
Yeah, true.
True. Okay. True or false? You didn't win.
My mom says that I'm a winner all the time. So
Well,
I'm gonna
your
say
mom says
false.
the same thing about me, though.
I didn't win, true. However, I was thinking about the first time that we'd met, and it wasn't that time.
No.
It was whenever I got the silver medal, and you didn't get a medal
Oh, that was talking about in Oklahoma?
at AGF Nationals.
Yeah, that was one of the first times I'd ever seen you perform, and I wasn't impressed at all.
Yeah, well, I was also going against small Japanese women. You got beat by the same guy I got beat by, right?
Well, I lost to Levi Moles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like a quarter my size.
He is, and he kept reminding me that he's not a jiu-jitsu fighter, that he's an MMA fighter. He never even puts the gi on. He was like, I found this gi in the bathroom, and I thought I'd put it on.
He had told me that he puts. I'm sorry to be giving out his secrets here, But
Did he Vaseline up for the fight?
No, he'll wear like the big tie cups because the AGF they don't have the rule about cups, and he 100% used that. Was he
just hip thrusting into your face?
Yeah, because he went to bow and arrow. Let's see, did he go to bow and arrow choke? He took my back, and he was like fucking driving that cup into the center of my back. It was so painful.
That's super illegal.
It was so painful. It's illegal at IBJJF, not at AGF.
It's one of the only rules I think that they should probably. It should be everywhere because this was years ago when people actually used to compete at Nagas.
Yeah.
Because everybody wanted a championship belt or a sword.
Yeah.
My favorite part about the Naga stuff was that they gave 11-year-olds swords, and they were real swords.
Yeah, I've got 3 of them at the gym.
Yeah. Did you take them from 11-year-olds?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you did. But I remember there was a match, and a guy had taken another guy's back and flattened him out and drove his cup into the guy's back, and it like dislocated his spine.
Oh.
It was super bad. He had to get carried off on a stretcher.
That's
and stuff.
horrible.
I know.
Yeah.
And then they changed the rule after that.
When I ref for Naga, we had a guy come over, and they sell the belts for like $300.
I didn't know that.
This guy came over, and like he told us that he had promised his kid that he'd bring home a belt, and then lost, so he went and fucking bought a belt. Like, dude, don't promise your kid you're gonna win a belt.
Well, it's funny you see that stuff in movies where like the main character is gonna like win the big fight.
Yeah.
But you never see it whenever they don't. Like you never see whenever they make this huge promise to like some sick kid in Africa, and then like it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Sorry,
guy. I tried, but it just wasn't enough motivation. You dying wasn't enough motivation for me.
Maybe you should get sicker.
Yeah. Or maybe I should get better.
Maybe I should just get better.
Are those the only 2 questions? You just wanted to rub that in my face?
Yeah, I've been waiting weeks to ask that question.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the podcast. That's the only reason.
That's all the time we have for today.
That's our one and only episode was Mitch wanted to rub that in. Dude, I've got actual questions that are well thought out.
Well, I can't wait to answer them
then. You had one more question. Go ahead and shoot it to me because you told it to me before.
I'm trying to remember what it was.
Mm-hmm. Penis size.
Yeah, so I ask people this question all the time because it really tells a lot about them as a person and their character. So the third question, actually, I do have 2 other questions after this. So no, okay, I'm gonna ask the other 2 questions, and then I'll end my series of questions with
the zinger.
With the zinger.
Okay.
All people heard was penis, and so now they're on the edge of their seats. They're like, no, just get to the final question.
The show business, baby.
That's right. We're gonna keep you hanging. And these are actually 2 serious questions that I always ask people. If you could only take 3 movies with you on a desert island, what would they be?
Oh, The Assassination of Jesse James.
Never heard of it.
It's incredible. I'm like a huge...
I feel like what you're going to do is you're just going to make up movie titles.
Yeah.
None of them are going to be real.
Backdoor Sluts 9.
Who hasn't accidentally found that on DirecTV?
Yeah. My kids. No. I had so I'm like a huge I love watching movies and like just picking them apart as like how the director put it together, how the cinematography was done, so on and so forth. And that's one of those movies that's just like blows my freaking mind, dude. It's so well done. It's long and drawn out, but it's
you would be
incredible.
I learned a new word. Speaking of that, there's a kid or a guy. He's an adult. He's not a kid. He's an adult now. He trains at the gym, and he said he is a cinephile.
Oh yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
It'd be like an audiophile. Like you've heard people say like they're audiophiles.
Nope.
Basically like a big.
Yet another word that Johnny's making up on the spot.
It's like I don't even know if that's how it's pronounced.
Cinephile.
Cinephile. Yeah. It's just like a nerd for cinema or audio.
So I asked that guy. I said, man, what would be the top found footage movies ever? And he was like, oh, that's easy. Blair Witch Project and Paranormal Activity. And then he goes, I haven't seen either one of them. And I'm like, what the hell? Like,
because they're bad.
Yeah, like how do you put those on your list, but you've never seen them?
Because they made money. Like they're up there. Everybody loves them. Okay, I got 2 more now. The Assassination of Jesse James. Dude, I don't even know. That just totally.
I know it sucks when you get put on the spot.
Yeah.
Like the boat's about to leave for the island, and
I
you have to grab.
I probably thought about this about 8 times this week too. I'm like, these are going to be my answers, and then I've got nothing. The Assassination of Jesse James and dude, I don't know. I don't have another one. My mind just totally went blank. I'm sorry.
The worst. It sucks that you're gonna be watching one movie over and over again for the rest of your life
yeah.
on a desert island.
Here we go. Buckle up, buckaroo. Okay, next question.
Okay.
Maybe I'll come back to that. Maybe I'll have another.
Well, this if you don't know this one, I'm gonna be extremely disappointed.
Okay.
Okay.
Prepare to be
So
disappointed.
yeah, the top 3 records that you would take with you on a desert island.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like albums.
Yeah.
I've got them all over right there.
Of course you do.
Definitely Converge, Jane Doe. That's like a nostalgic album for me. Like I just, it just feels good to listen to that one. And then Have Heart, probably Songs to Scream at the Sun.
That's just a really cool name.
Yeah, they've got that one. They've got another one called The Things They Carried, which is one of my favorite books.
Just
but
making up stuff again.
yeah, I know, right? That album's just like speaks to me. You know what I'm saying? Like every word in that album, I'm like, I feel that 100%. And then it'd be a toss up between Brand New, the Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me, and Modern Baseball's Alpha Kappa, whatever. They had like an EP that was just
both
insane.
Brand New and Modern Baseball would be a really tough one for me, for sure.
I hear a lot of like YouTube videos talking about like how like cheesy and corny Modern Baseball is. I'm like, I don't think they're not really that more cheesy than any other band, like.
Yeah, I could see it because especially when you consider when you talk about Brand New and Modern Baseball in the same
Totally
conversation,
different,
like
right.
they're super different. So I could see like if you had some Brand New fans out there talking about, I could see that.
Yeah,
I
that
could
makes
see
sense. Definitely.
It'd be like back in the day, I think you could have compared Brand New and Taking Back Sunday, like when they're off the first, what
album was that? My favorite
Weapon.
Yeah.
Right, was the first one, and then Taking Back Sunday's first record.
It had Cute Without the E. What
Yeah,
was
that was the big song that came off of it. It wasn't Tell All Your Friends. It was the one before that.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, we look real stupid right now.
God damn it.
God
Such
damn
an idiot.
But yeah, I think those both would have been in the same category. And then Taking Back Sunday stayed the same. And
Yeah.
Brand New went to a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm. That's what cocaine will do, man. Like it takes you to that next level.
It does. It makes you a creative genius.
Right. Okay, it's my turn now.
I had one more question.
Oh yeah. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. That's the cliffhanger. So the final question that I have is, would you rather? It's a would you rather question. Would you rather have a penis for a nose or a vagina for a mouth? But the penis doesn't work. Like you can't have sex with it.
Right.
It's just
there.
A
flaccid penis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the vagina doesn't work either.
Okay.
And you don't have teeth.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go with the penis nose.
So you would
the scrotum nose. Yeah.
I don't think you thought that one out.
Well, why?
Well, because now you're gonna literally. You ever had a dick on your mouth?
Was this entirely a setup for that question? Are you trying to get somewhere with this?
I mean, in all fairness, neither have I. But I don't know why I said neither have I. Like I assumed your answer was no because you never answered.
I like to keep it ambiguous. Like I like for people, like, is he gay? Is he straight? I don't know.
No, let's keep the world guessing.
Yeah, I'm like Daniel Tosh of Jiu-Jitsu. Oh God, yeah, dude. Because I want to eat, dude. Food is everything.
Well, that's the thing is like I've asked people this question and they say the same thing. At no point did it. You still have a throat. Like you're gonna be able to.
So I can gum my food with my vagina lips. Then I'm gonna go with the vagina lips.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Okay, all right.
And then the only weird part is that vaginas go up and down, like they're up, like that. Like, well, nobody can see what I'm doing with my hands. But
I forgot we got the camera. I totally forgot to set that up.
It's a slit up and down, so you have to eat sideways. That's the only thing. But I would go with vagina mouth as well, because I don't want to have a penis head touch my lips all. I feel like I'd have, especially if I had chapped lips, like if it was a really windy day, like in August or maybe like October.
You'd have to like move it out of the way before you do anything.
Oh, I didn't even think about just the fact that it was going to be in the way all the time.
Yeah, that's if you have an average size penis, not like a Johnny size penis. Then it just pretty much a normal nose. Okay, my turn.
Okay,
here we go. Give me. Three things I feel like is overshooting it a little bit because when I write it down, it's like, oh, 3 things, but then when you try to think of 3 things, it's really tough. So I'm gonna say 2 things that are holding you back. two personal things about yourself, like personality traits, habits, whatever, that are holding you back.
One would definitely be the amount of times I take a dump in the day.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get a whole lot of work done when you're not at your desk.
Right, but that's what cell phones are for now. Like,
That's
you can write
true.
emails.
I never get around to doing that stuff. I always get around to Instagram. So I don't have Facebook, but I do have Instagram, and that's usually or whatever game I'm playing that day. So I would probably say one of the things that's holding me back is the amount of times that I poop in a day. That's probably a big one. So I had a friend of mine who I would never expect to give any sort of insightful quotes. He gave me an insightful quote a while back, and it's a Henry Thoreau quote, and it says that most men live lives of quiet desperation. And so I think that for a while, well, I don't know, man. Like, I've always been kind of a hard charger, and so maybe a couple of years ago, fear was what was holding me back, like getting stuck in security and being very, very secure in what I was doing career-wise, whatever, not taking enough chances, not looking at it. Again, I'm a big fan of motivational quotes and stuff. And Ian Rand has Ian Rand. The three people that are listening to this podcast are going to correct me for saying her name wrong. But she has a quote that says, it's not about who's going to let me, it's about who's going to stop me. And when I started kind of living in that moment, I think I stopped holding myself back as much. But for a long time, I think fear was a big piece of like, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work? What if they say no? Right? But, and I didn't mean to ruin your question, but the reality is that at this moment in my life, literally nothing is holding me back.
That's good. Yeah.
So
that's good. Yeah, dude, I think like the unpopular opinion, I fucking hate motivational quotes.
It is an unpopular opinion.
It's like, dude, I'm so tired of being motivated. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
quit trying to motivate me, damn it. I can do it on my own.
Well, the thing here's okay. So that's a good point. Whenever I look for motivational quotes, I don't really look for quotes that are going to motivate me. I'm really just looking for things that people have said that was pretty badass.
Yeah.
At my office every morning, me and my coworkers, one of us will post a quote of the day. And a lot of times it'll have something to do with what we're dealing with, maybe in the office or in the workplace or whatever. But a lot of times it's just like, man, this is just what we're feeling today. You know, I've posted some David Goggins quotes. I'm a big fan of that. And for me, so when I think about motivational stuff, guys like David Goggins, even Jocko, what I like about them is not like David Goggins ran 3 100-mile races 3 weekends in a row. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's insane.
And so for me, it's not about like people who need motivation to get out of bed every morning. And again, I'm not trying to downplay people who deal with depression and things like that. But my point is that there are people out there who literally need someone to help them just get out of bed. Yeah. But not from a sickness. It's just because they just suck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they just suck. Like, and so I look to people like David Goggins and Jocko and those guys because they've been there, they've done that. And the mental fortitude, I've got a lot of respect for people who can ignore physical pain, who can ignore environmental pains and somehow find a way to win or push through. It's something that I struggle with. You know what? Going back to your other question, when you asked me, what do I think is holding me back? So my coach has really emphasized the mental game for jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Right. And so I used to, and I still do to some extent, I was the worst about getting halfway into a round with someone and then mentally breaking and quitting. I would still move and I would do enough to get through the round, but I wasn't finding a way to win. And so I was feeling like a fraud because I'm going around telling everybody, no, you got to find a way to win. You got to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. You got to go. And then here I was at like minute 3.5 of a 5-minute round, finding a reason to quit. Yeah. But that's something that my coach has worked with me on. And I think I still struggle with that, but I am getting better at that. So yeah, I guess I could go back to your other question and say that from a jiu-jitsu perspective, from an athletic perspective, I probably am being held back by that mental weakness there for sure. So
that's I think everybody struggles with that too. I say that I've never struggled with quitting in the middle of the round. That's one thing that, like, once I'm in there,
Well, you didn't.
I'm fucking going.
Yeah, you
know what
didn't
I'm
quit
saying?
whenever we fought.
Yeah,
I
like
stopped you.
yeah, yeah. But well, no, let's go back because when we fought, I've got to remember to tell my story about that because it's so good, dude. Spoiler alert: Mitch is the only man that has ever touched my lips with his lips.
That's true.
So when we fought, when you passed my guard, there was that when you got to that side control, you had like the kind of the rear side mount, like where my back is kind of facing away. At that point, I was like, dude, I'm either gonna have to wait for him to move, or I'm just gonna get stopped now. And so there was a point where I wouldn't say that I quit, but I knew that I was fucked from that point on. I was like, unless I can stop him from advancing, I'm screwed here. And so like quitting has never been the issue, but quitting before it starts, that's where my issue is.
That makes sense.
Getting in my head and being like, dude, I can't do this, or I just don't want to. I don't, like there's so much of that goes on. Okay, moving on, because it's going to take hours if we're not speedy about this. 2 physical attributes that you feel like define your jiu-jitsu outside of your just strength.
Well, I don't feel like that's fair.
Because it can be for instance, I'll give you an example. My best physical attribute that I feel like I have that is maybe better than a high percentage of people would be my balance. So I base my jiu-jitsu off of my balance and some other things. I'm not going to tell you everything in case we fight again.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because you say my strength. It still feels weird to this day to hear people even use the word strength in my name in one conversation. Because when I first started training jiu-jitsu, or when I first even got into athletics, I was like 130 pounds. I was this really small, weak person. I would say my athleticism, which is, again, something I never thought I'd use in the same sentence. I think that I always had good flexibility, and I think that I always had good dexterity. And then when I started training and I did get bigger and stronger, all of those attributes stayed. And so for me, in the weight classes that I compete in, middleweight, and even I did a season at medium heavy, which is 195. I'm just as flexible and agile as the 181 guys, but I'm bigger than they are.
Yeah.
And then for medium heavy, same thing. Like most of those guys are like your wrestlers. They're really, really like come forward, and they want to scramble. So I have really good scrambling. And then I had the flexibility that they didn't have a lot of times. So even though you did take strength, and then flexibility for sure, like the athleticism piece of that, I've got pretty good speed as well. My ability to be explosive.
You go from pressure to speed really, really easily.
Yeah, which I never even considered it to be an attribute. I thought everybody did that.
No. One of the things that always cracks me up is like when people are like, oh my God, he was so strong. I was like, yeah, he's strong because you're trying to fucking kill him. Yeah. Like, you're strong because he's trying to kill you. Like, anybody that's in that situation is going to be strong in that moment. And but there's like, I think the pressure is where it changes from strength to pressure is where, because now you're learning how to apply your strength in the proper form. I can't stand people get out of a tournament like, oh my God, I was so surprised by how strong he was. Like, how are you surprised by that?
Yeah, I know.
Of course he's going to be strong.
He was just trying harder than you.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
I had some good questions on my Instagram I wanted to go through too.
I need to start doing that. I need to start posting like ideas where I do the same thing or give people options.
Yeah.
I think that was really cool. I looked through those earlier.
I just figured like if anything, it's just future content too.
For sure.
I didn't realize Breast Cancer Awareness Month is October.
Is it?
That's coming up. So
we got time.
We could do a whole month on nothing but boobs.
That's a fact.
That would be fantastic.
I think everyone would agree.
Yeah. But that's when we'll bring in our charts. We'll start video of like our pie charts and graphs and stuff. So this is great. Somebody was asking how, at first I thought they were going to say how MMA has changed your life. And I was not going to accept that as a question because I hate it's so over spoken about. Like
I do everything. So there's 2 things that I don't talk about with people, and people say it's arrogant or whatever, but I don't like to talk about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or MMA with people that I don't train with,
right,
or that people who don't train, and I don't like to let people know that I'm in the military. I don't.
I forgot that should have been one of my questions because I literally know nothing about your military background.
Yeah, that's because I'm not allowed to talk about it. Everybody knows that.
That's not real.
That's not real.
No.
I made that up. I don't even have a really good strong clearance.
If you weren't allowed to talk about it, I'd figure you're probably not going to be in Arkansas.
That's true.
Like, there's not many people in Arkansas that aren't allowed to talk about things.
That's true.
Unless they're tied in with the Clintons, maybe.
Yeah.
No, okay, so he's asking how MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighting scene in this area has changed since we started till it is now, and then where we see it going.
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
Yeah. And so, like, me personally, I remember, dude, I mean, like, I've been doing it for almost 12 years, and it's not, I mean, that's not that long in the grand scheme of things. Rolly, Mr. Dringer, both of our coaches have been a black belt as long as I've been training.
I was talking about that just recently. Rolly he's been training for over 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's a 3rd degree black belt now, which for people who don't know, that's 3 years for every degree. So that's 9 years that he's been a black belt. But so really 12 years.
Yeah.
If you look at it from that, going from 0 to 1 degree. 12 years as a black belt. I've been training jiu-jitsu for 12 years.
Yeah.
And by the way, for people who don't know, Johnny and I are both black belts in jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Just in case. So we'll have a whole episode on just that.
Yeah, of just us being black belts.
Yeah.
I'm a black belt. I definitely see it. It's moving. In the past, since I've moved to Conway, is really where I've noticed the biggest change. When I first started, there was Rolly, Dring, and a couple other black belts in town, in the state of Arkansas. Maybe 2 other black belts in Arkansas, outside of respective gyms. You know what I'm saying? So like Westside obviously had a couple black belts. Mr. Dring had a couple black belts, but there's, I mean, only a couple. And now you can find a black belt in every major city in Arkansas. They may not all be good black belts, but you can find one. Yeah, they do exist. Since I've moved to Conway, we now have 2 tournaments a year in Conway, whereas before we had 0 tournaments in Arkansas.
Yep.
Now we have 2 tournaments a year in Conway, which is then segued into more people taking a chance on Arkansas, coming out and competing. And the
there was
level
talk,
has gone up, dude.
It has gone up a lot. There was talk that the IBJJF was actually going to try to do a Little Rock.
Oh, dude, that'd be so good.
I know, because we wouldn't have to drive everywhere.
Yeah. Dude, when I competed in Chicago at Brown Belt and got my ass beat.
It's fair.
Yeah, it happened. Coming back from that, I had, the next Sunday or whatever, we walk all through Chicago for hours. I get on a red-eye flight back to Memphis. The whole time I'm just thinking about how depressed I am. I lost and bullshit like that. Then I get in like at 2 a.m., drive back from Memphis back home. I end up getting home and having a legit panic attack.
Really?
Just from lack of sleep. Just from like, dude, I was so mentally exhausted. I just like kind of lost it for a second. I was like, dude, fuck this. This is so unfair. I have to fly. I had to fly from Little Rock, or no, from Memphis to like Atlanta, then to Chicago or whatever, like doing those kind of trips. But
the only tournament I've ever flown to was when I did Masters Worlds.
Yeah.
As a brown belt. And really, I lost. I always talk about this because how weird of a coincidence it was. But I lost the first round. Right? I went out there. I flew all the way to Las Vegas. I had prepared very well for it. We got this big Airbnb. It was a really cool experience. It was like a fighter house. It was really neat.
Mm-hmm.
I get out there and I lose in the first round to Zach Lee, who is a black belt now out of Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
So I flew all the way to Vegas to fight a guy who was 2 hours from me that I could have fought at an AGF.
Right.
I was like, motherfucker.
That's why I moved up at this last AGF when I competed at black belt.
When you fought Kevin Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, we remember that.
So does all of the
Reddit
internet.
remembers that.
Yeah. Yeah, I moved up a weight class. And because typically I compete around 170.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that you were in Kevin's.
But I'm tired of
class.
competing against the same people. Every single time I competed at AGF, I get matched up against Wes. Every time. And I'm like, okay, dude, like we fought so many times. Like I need to move on. It's like you, Wes. There's another guy out of Texas that ends up at all those names. I think his name's Jason that I competed against.
It starts feeling weird. But like whenever you and I had our super fight, I still felt weird fighting you. Yeah. Like I knew I had to try to win, but it still felt weird because even though back then we weren't good friends, but I had come and done open mats at your gym. We communicated through social media and stuff like that. Like it still felt weird. Yeah. Competing against you.
What feels weird to me is that we had this halfway relationship and we're competing. Yeah. If I trust you, if I know you, you're a friend, dude, I'm gonna go fucking hard. Yeah. Like Bruno came up Yeah, he came up for pretty consistently for a while to open mats on Sunday. We would roll. The first couple times that I rolled with him, I'm like kind of slow and I'm trying to flow because I'm like, I don't know what your injuries are. I don't know what your style is. I don't want to like explode and just like offend you or whatever. And then finally one day he was like, bro, like you can get after me. And I was like, I know, like just give me time. You know, like just give me time to
get
like
around this mentally.
kind of warm up to you.
For sure.
And then now like when we go hard. Same thing with Jared. When he first came back, first couple rolls, I was like real light and fluid, and he's just stomping me. And
is that the black belt, the other guy that came from Texas?
Yeah. And so now I'm just like, I'm gonna murder you.
Yeah.
But it's because I love him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna murder you because you're my friend and I respect you. You know, like I only roll that hard with people I respect. That's just how it is.
I'm the same. I totally get it. Even when we have visitors coming into Westside, like you don't want to be that guy. You know, and on top of that. As black belts, you know, I do coach at Westside. I coach a lot of the classes there at Westside for Jiu-Jitsu. So that puts you in a weird place too, because you can't, as they say, pohada, right? You can't go, you can't go hard with a visitor like that, black belt or otherwise, because the last thing I want is people to go back and be like, dude, those guys at Westside's are dicks.
Yeah.
You know, those Gravitas guys there in Conway are dicks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want people to, it's a community. It's always going to be a community first. Just like whenever you and I used to be in bands, just like when we, you know, skateboarded, like those were all communities and nobody wanted to be known as the guy that nobody wanted to hang out with.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So
it's kind of a gray area too, because like I know I have a target on my back too. And
because you're a black belt?
Yeah, because I'm a black belt. I own the gym, and like half of the people will go, oh my God, you're a black belt. And then they just won't try it at all, which drives me nuts.
Right.
And then the other half will just try to rip my head off, you know? And so it's like, now I'm getting to the point where like, it doesn't matter what you do, I can usually control the situation. And
I have a question, because you are a gym owner. So I was a gym owner at one point as well, when I was a brown belt before I went to Westside. What is your opinion about brown and black belts, whatever, gym owners that don't compete, and your opinion about instructors who own gyms who don't really train with their students?
The first question about what do I think about people that don't compete at brown and black that are gym owners, I think it differs between person to person. Injuries and history, stuff like age has a lot to do with it too. A gym owner especially needs to have competed sometime in the past at least. You know, like I've known dudes that are like get their purple and brown and their neck is just destroyed, dude. They can't compete anymore and they've got to, you know, they just rely on coaching now. But I think if possible, at least compete once at every belt level. You have to go in and test and feel how other people at that level feel. You know?
I agree.
And then the second question, coaches that don't train with their students, completely unacceptable.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, and a question like that can garner a lot of different responses from people in the community. You know, it could be like, well, my knees are jacked up or my shoulders are, you know. So first off, and this is why I have the opinion I have, is my coach, Rolly. He's had ridiculous surgeries on his hands, his wrists, you know, and he's a frail guy. He's a tiny, tiny, frail man, you know. But
I'm going to tell him you said that.
Oh, he's going to hear it. He's never, ever sat back. You know, anytime we're getting, like, you know, you and I have, we both have super fights coming up, right? September 21st. We'll talk about that, huh? So I'm fighting your best friend, Eric Ingram. BFFs.
I'm fighting the guy that I'm fighting. I just found out like last week. Started training at Eric Ingram's.
Did he really?
Yeah. So welcome to the
odds?
team, bro.
Yeah.
We're on the same team.
Jeez,
we're about to fight each other now.
That sucks. Well, now we just have to come up with a really good game plan.
Yeah.
Just the two of us. But you know, so Rolly knows I'm getting ready for that. And when guys and girls are getting ready for fights and stuff at Westside, he doesn't just sit back and tell us what to do.
Right.
He gets himself in the mix. And believe me, there are days, like, he's a busy guy. And that dude, you know, he does real estate. He's a gym owner. He's a father. You know, he's a husband. But he always finds, and this guy's training with TJ Brown, Bryce Mitchell. I mean, I'm bigger than Rolly. You know, I'm a bigger guy, and he doesn't have a problem throwing down with me to get me ready. And so that's something about him that I've always respected. And I have come from other organizations where you have these third and fourth degree black belts that don't regularly train with their students. When I do seminars, that's one of the big things I do. In the off chance that somebody actually invites me to do a seminar, I train with everybody. I don't care who
We're
it is.
We're available for seminars.
We're available for seminars.
We're black
you can
belts.
get at us. It's at MitchHallBJJ.com. That's not a real website, so don't go there. I don't know what it's going to bring you to. Make sure you put the second J on there. If you just put MitchHallBJ.com. I don't know.
It's a link to a whole nother video.
I mean, I'm probably still going to be in the video. But I don't know.
GIF.
Yeah, I don't know what the content's going to be. But, so I think that there are outliers and extenuating circumstances where they just can't train with their students.
Yeah.
But I've also known people who were able-bodied individuals who I don't think they could take the athletic white belt who wrestled for 4 years in high school. I think they had a problem dealing with what they, not being able to just, you talk a big game and you talk about how all these moves work and this move works and this is what you need to do. And then some D1 wrestler, white belt, comes in and smashes you.
Yeah.
Well, then it affects your credibility.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've known both.
Yeah.
And that's why, you're a gym owner. And I know you train with everybody.
Mm.
I know that because you posted on Instagram. And so, plus I've trained with you guys.
If I don't talk about it, it didn't happen.
And so, and when I was a gym owner, it was the same thing. I trained with all my students. I never turned rounds down. And that's the thing is people are like, well, what if you're injured? Who the fuck isn't?
Yeah.
That's the real serious question.
Right.
Like, who's not? I've been running 101 degree fever for the past probably 5 days. I medicate and move on.
Listen to a Jocko podcast.
I listen to a Jocko podcast. I ask myself, am I hurt or am I injured?
Yeah.
And then I move on, so, and maybe not everybody has that mentality. That's fine. But
one of the, so when I opened up the gym, I was I was still active in my MMA career. I was a purple belt when I opened up the gym, still fairly young. Like I think it was 26, 27 when I opened up the gym. Now I'm like aging. I'm fucking 32.
Yeah. Oh,
Jesus.
God. I'm
but
36.
Whenever I opened up the gym, I had gone through this period where I was rolling, and for those people that don't know, like the gym is my full-time job. I'm there Monday through Sunday, basically every single day, either in the morning or in the evenings. A lot of times both, and I'm teaching upwards of like almost 40 classes a week. It's just tons of classes. And so I got to the point where I was like, I cannot sustain this kind of training in every single class. I was doing all my kickboxing classes. I was sparring afterwards. I was doing gi jiu-jitsu, no gi jiu-jitsu, wrestling, because at the time I was going to CBC and wrestling with them. And so at some point I was like, I have to start regulating my training and saying no sometimes because I'm going to get hurt, which was happening. I started collecting a lot of injuries from just, I teach a class, we'd have even numbers, and then I just jump right into rolling and not warm up and then get injured because I'm an idiot like that. But so I started having to like regulate and start to be okay with saying no to a round, especially if, I try to roll with my white belts. I try to, give them attention. But if I'm in a point where I'm like competing and it's a role that may not be valuable to me, I have to kind of regulate and do what's smart for me. And I teach my students the same thing. Like you can say no to a role. If that big spaz white belt comes over that elbowed you the last time and damn near knocked you out and he wants to roll, you're like, no, dude, I don't want to roll this round. It's okay to say no to those. And you were talking about Rolly being injured, still being able to train. So my coach is a little bit on the opposite side where my coach is considerably older. Mm-hmm. He had, when I first started training, when I was a white blue belt, I saw him roll. I never actually got to roll with him. But we brought in a Brazilian guy, Daniel Garcia from Team Nova União. He came in and rolled with Mr. Dring. And honestly, Daniel whooped up on him like he should be. You know, I mean, like this kid's younger and so on and so forth. The thing that stood out to me was not that he got beat up, was that what he did afterwards. Mr. Dring said, he's like, dude, that was fucking awesome. Will you show me what that was? You know what I'm saying? So like, it's okay to be beat. It's okay to lose, but then what you do after that. And then now he's got 2 fake hips.
Yeah.
And he can still do the full splits and touch his nose to the floor.
Yeah, I saw that on when I used to have Facebook. That's his profile.
Yeah, this is it's like way to flex on everybody. Bro.
Way to Van Damme everybody.
Yeah, and I've got a pretty funny story about that too, actually. So when I was in Brazil this last time, Mr. Dring was there with me, and I knew he'd just gotten out of a hip surgery. So he's like, I'm going to roll, but I can only roll with people that I trust and honestly, like girls, you know,
Yeah,
like people
no, I
that I
get it.
can tool. In Brazil, a lot of the times there's so many people on the mats, you don't get to roll every round.
Right.
You'll do a round, then go sit, and then maybe try and jump in on the next round. So I'm sitting, and Mr. Dring starts rolling with this girl, Isara. They kind of come over right in front of me. Mr. Dring gets her in full mount, and you see this girl just spazzing, trying to get out, trying to bridge, do this and that. And he's trying to tell her, he says, twist your hips. She says, no entendo. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't speak English. And he just looks at her and goes, I'm so sorry. And just sprawls. Because he's like, I'm not letting you hurt me.
Yeah.
And just like drives into her. And I was like, oh man, that's so brutal. That paints that picture that you have to be careful. And you have to choose wisely, because ultimately the only person that matters in your training is you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I teach, you know, like focus on everybody else, because if I make you better, that's going to make me better. But ultimately, I'm the one that shows up. I'm the one that is going to be there. I can't control what you do, and so I need to make sure I control what I do and take care of myself. But there's so many, yeah, like there's so many different answers to it.
Yeah,
roll with your students though.
Yeah, I think
roll
you
with
should.
your damn students.
I think you should, and like I said, I think that, you know, as long as you're not avoiding training with your students because you can't get over your own ego. You know?
Yeah.
I think that that's right. But yeah, I'm a proponent for training with all my students. The 6 a.m. class that I teach, I do train now with my students. There was a long time where I didn't train with guys in the 6 a.m. class that I do, mainly because I go straight to work from there.
Yeah.
And I sweat for hours. Like, it doesn't matter. As soon as I start sweating, I already know, like, I'm not going to stop sweating for the next 2.5 hours. Right. It sucks. Plus, I don't want to mess my hair up.
Yeah,
so
that's important. That's a big. And being in the military, your hair is really important.
It's a big deal. It's probably one of our biggest characters, is our hair.
So moving on to like the MMA and how that's grown since. I mean, honestly, since I was fighting, I didn't realize this until TJ had brought it up to me. When he came up and sparred, he said, I'm pretty sure that your last fight as an amateur was my first fight as an amateur. And I randomly ran across the pictures from Facebook, and sure enough, it was like his first amateur fight was my last amateur fight. And then now he's at this, you know, the MMA scene now is just night and day. Completely different.
I saw you fight one time in either Memphis, it was Nashville. I saw you fighting. I think you fought Ben Brewer.
Yeah, dude. Why you
not,
always looking at my losses, man? Taking my L's. Shit.
It's just a coincidence that the only 2 fights we've talked about have been losses for you.
Dude, I'm not going to say the promotion because I don't want to talk ill on another promotion. They're a good promotion, but when I'd gone out there, I just got screwed over in both those fights. Not saying that Ben beat me. He's good.
He was a tough kid back then.
And he had a great game plan. He started leg kicking me. I was like, the fuck is this? You're not supposed to, I'm supposed to do that, bro.
Yeah.
And he said that afterwards. He's like, we figured he'd think that I was a wrestler, so we'd start kicking him and throw him off. I was like, damn it, dude.
It worked.
Yeah.
Fooled again.
But that fight in particular, I had it was in August in Nashville in a gym.
Yeah, because it was like in that weird training center thing.
Yeah.
I remember that because
the AC had gone out. You remember that?
Yep.
And it was like standing room only. I was warming up, and I'm looking over at Ben thinking just like, why aren't you warming up, dude? Like, you need to, like, we're about to fight. And it never dawned on me that I was like exhausting myself trying to warm up in that heat.
Yeah, I do remember that. I was there, coach. I was cornering one of my students, and I didn't know what I was doing. I'm not an MMA guy.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been an MMA guy. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that was a weird thing. It was a pretty big card though, like as far as like exposure and like the size of the event. I remember it was kind of a big deal. But I also remember they had all the fighters in the back.
Yeah.
And the only thing that separated you from your opponent was like a curtain.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. It was just like they had the red corner was here, and then the blue corner was right next to it. But there was like a curtain from Bed Bath & Beyond. It was like it was just separating the people.
There was so little effort on that show, and it just snowballed. It went downhill. So then I took that one on like 2 weeks notice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did another one. Both were main events, and I jumped in because I was basically saving the card. They're like, we don't have anybody. We need somebody to fight. And this was the beginning of me owning my gym and managing my own career. So I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll fight anybody, dude. And he was like 10-1 at the time. I was 5-2, I think. or 5-1. So it just wasn't a brilliant decision on my part in the first place. But then I fought again for them, and it was during the biggest snowstorm that Nashville's like ever had, and I guess that drive's normally like what, 6 hours or so.
Yeah, that's right.
It took us 2 days. 2 days, dude.
You had to stop?
Yes, we stopped an hour outside of Nashville. At 2:00 in the morning. I'm like on my way there to weigh-ins, right? I'm cutting weight. The drive to that point had taken us 14 hours.
It's hard to cut weight whenever it's balls cold outside.
Yeah, right. Well, it turns out like he called me and he goes, "Hey, I mean it's 2 a.m. I'm gonna believe that you're on weight, and so go ahead and eat, bro." And so I had to eat at a truck stop, like at a truck stop buffet to rehydrate and get all that stuff, and then make that fight. Yeah, both those fights were just disasters for me, dude. Horrible decisions to take those. Dude, tell me about how long have you been training with Bryce Mitchell?
So I've been training with Bryce. I've known Bryce off and on for the last couple years. So probably about 3 or 4 years. Yeah, I guess about 3 or 4 years. He recently started teaching the Nogi classes at Westside.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where him and I have become much better friends and training partners now. So he's probably been teaching the Nogi classes at Westside for probably about the last year. And that's one of him and TJ Brown are both, those are one of the guys, no matter how tired I am, no matter how crappy I feel, if either one of those guys say, "Hey Mitch, can I get a round in with you?" I never say no.
Yeah.
I never say no.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like who am I? Who am I to say no to these guys who have, I mean, I guarantee you they are far more tired than I am at that moment, far more injured than I am at that moment, you know, and just the fact that they would consider me to be somebody that they would want to get better with, you know.
Yeah.
And Bryce beats the dog shit out of me. I've never felt that kind of pressure in my life.
Yeah, he beats the dog shit out of everybody, dude.
and he's the nicest guy about it too.
Yeah.
You know, and so with that being said, you know, I asked TJ like multiple times to give me a shout out every time he does an interview, and he hasn't done it.
He
yet.
told me he was gonna give me a shout out. I was like, no, you're not, dude. You have so many other people to congratulate.
So how big is Arkansas getting right now with MMA?
Oh, it's great, dude. It's so huge. It gives me. I'll be honest. When every time I see one of the Arkansas guys get in the UFC, my heart drops just a little bit.
Because it could have been you.
Yeah, because I'm like, fuck, dude. Just
if only you just kept going.
A little bit longer, but I'm happy with where I'm at, though.
I would say the same thing if I didn't make it in my life.
if I didn't accomplish my goals. Yeah, I'm happy where I'm at.
I'm totally happy. I can't even read. I don't even know what books are.
I don't remember most of my life.
I can't remember anything.
No, so TJ just got his contract in the UFC this week, and then Bryce, he's been in the UFC for a little while.
Yeah.
But one of the things that the reason I wanted to bring up TJ is because like if anybody out there wants to be an MMA fighter, be competitive, do anything great, I think TJ is a wonderful example, and I have a story to back that up because I don't train with TJ much. He comes down and spars a little bit. He made me feel really good one time because I accidentally sparred 30 rounds because people just kept showing up and I just kept sparring. So I was like, okay, now this group's showing up. And then TJ shows up like at the end. It was like, dude, have you really been doing 30 rounds? I was like, well, I guess so. I didn't mean to. I've been here.
I did over 1,000.
Yeah, 1,001. No, so then whenever he comes down, he's asked me to hold mitts for him and whatnot. Which again, like I'm not his coach. I don't see him often. That's a compliment to me for him to want to learn from me. But the one thing that really got me was like the second time that we were working mitts. We just hadn't caught each other's rhythm yet. He like kind of missed a left hook or whatever, and I was just like, hey, when I hold this out, this is what I want. And he immediately just goes, yes, sir, I'll do better.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you don't have to tell me that. I'm not your coach. Like I know that you're good. I'm just giving you information that I feel is valuable, right? And like for him to completely throw everything to the side and just be like, yes sir, I'll do better next time.
Yeah, that's
the only thing that he's focused on, was doing better in that moment. And that's where people get it mixed up, is like you can't be doing that stuff and thinking about like anything else really. Mm-hmm. Like you have to be engaged in that moment and thinking about how do I get better incrementally.
Plus that humbleness, like when I tore my bicep last year, in one of my first black belt matches. And so I was on the injured reserve, and I spent a lot of time coaching and not competing or training. And I really enjoy coaching. Rolly has really improved my coaching. But for that year, I got to do the coaching, a lot of coaching, and to include coaching Rolly when he was getting ready to compete. And it was the same thing. I remember so many times when I would yell at him to do something, do this, look for this, move your hand here, watch out for this, and I'm his student. And there were times where he would say, yes, sir, coach. Yes, sir, coach.
Yeah.
And that level of humbleness, that the understanding that, in those moments, he's not a coach anymore. He's a competitor.
Yeah.
He's getting better. And so, there's people I think would take the approach to go, who are you to tell, I taught you this stuff. Who are you to tell me what to do? But he's never had that. And TJ's never had that. And Bryce is the same way too, man. Like Bryce is light years better than me.
Right.
But there's been times where I've given him pieces of advice and he's always taken it and he's always, yes, sir. And I'm like, man, that's just, I don't think that's something, I think that's something that's maybe unique to Arkansas is the humbleness and the manners, that Southern manner. I'm from Louisiana and I don't know where you're from.
I'm from kind of all over the place.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah, well, I was born in...
That's like the guy that goes, what kind of music do you listen to? Oh, I listen to a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Well, I was born in Germany, and then because my dad was in the military, and we moved to Kentucky, Missouri,
that makes
Washington.
sense. So you're a military brat.
Military brat. I kind of lived everywhere. That's also why I don't have like a Southern accent.
That's true.
But yeah, actually I moved to California whenever I turned 18 to play music.
And that didn't work out.
No, it didn't. Another failed dream. That led me here.
So I want to say that that's another joke that I've been waiting to say.
It's just all my failures.
I know I give you so much shit, but like the truth is like I really respect you as a musician and as a training partner and stuff. But I don't want anybody out there to think that like I'm just talking shit so much about you.
I love talking shit's the best. No, one of the things actually that I've always really appreciated about you is when you do like something, you tell me.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like whenever we've talked about this, whenever you message me about the music that I post on Instagram, you're like, dude, everything that you post, I'm always listening to. I'm like, dude, that makes me feel good because when I make those posts, it's not necessarily in a moment of low self-esteem, but it's like I make posts on Instagram, like in my stories, because I want interaction.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just want to be told I'm good.
Honestly,
like, and so to tell for people, I think that make art or try to make art, it's important for them to hear that they're doing good. And especially from people that, like my mom will tell me, oh, that looks good. But it's like, okay, mom, thanks.
My mom still thinks I'm a black belt karate. So.
Yeah. So. We need to have like a, that sign like, wah, 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 wah. every time we say black belt, just wah, 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 wah.
We're just reminding people that we're black
have like
belts.
Little confetti things that pop up to celebrate ourselves every time. Yeah, no, I moved out to California, and like whenever I lived out there, the biggest thing that I noticed was that like, dude, there's not that humbleness. Mm-hmm. There's not that hospitality.
There's too much stuff going on.
Yeah, and there's no way to explain it. You can't change it in people. You can't. It's just the area. There's a lot of things that I hate about this area. This area is fucking backwards.
In a lot of ways, especially Conway with the amount of traffic circles they have.
Yeah.
I went through 5 traffic circles to get to your house.
Yeah, we've got 5 trapfic circles and not a drop of beer in the entire town.
Yeah, like, exactly. Well, that's where all the beer money went. To build traffic circles.
Damn roundabouts. But yeah, dude, like I love the South just for that reason. Just because like, and some of the history behind it, dude, is like, or behind the South is really badass. But yeah, I mean, like, dude, it's just not the same. It's really not.
Like you said, some of the history about the South. I mean, that's where the name for the podcast kind of came from, right? So the Rough and Tumble.
We haven't talked about that.
We haven't, and
that's super necessary because if anybody doesn't know what American Rough and Tumble is, it is the American martial art, and it is so freaking badass.
And it almost exclusively was in the South. Like Mississippi, West
Deep
Virginia.
South.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought was cool when I started reading about the history was that most people they would agree where they would go, okay, so I think they called it Broughton or Broxton or whatever, which was basically like if they were going to disagree and have a fight, both people would agree on which rule set
Yeah.
And it was either rough and tumble, which was no rules. It mostly advocated eye poking and biting of the penis. That second part I made up because I thought that would be a very rough and tumble type technique. Or they could do, I think it was called Broughton's rules, which was just traditional boxing.
Yeah.
You know, and I read a story about these two guys that got into a fight over whose horse was faster, which I thought was awesome. And so to settle it, they were like, well, let's go race our horses. So they went out wherever they went and they raced their horses. And it said the race was inconclusive. How is a race inconclusive? Like, was it just 100 ties?
Yeah. Well,
like,
they couldn't have the photo finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they couldn't.
Because they didn't have photographs back then. Probably.
Right. That's what also that I've really tried to research American Rough and Tumble, and there's drawings.
Yeah.
There are no photographs of it.
No. Well, we did. I found that one photo of the two chicks with their shirts off.
Oh yeah.
And they were just fighting each other with their tits.
From what I've found about it, like the entire goal of American Rough and Tumble was to show that you won was to take a piece of their nose or their ear, and so people would like file their teeth down to points and their fingernails to points in order to better.
It just seems
claw
like
people
that's
to
such a niche. That, like you like. You know, like we have cauliflower ear.
Yeah.
So people either assume that we wrestled or that we do jiu-jitsu, which we're both black belts in. And so, but that's such a different level.
Yeah.
To be like, because what if nobody wants to fight you anymore in rough and tumble? And then so now you walk around with filed teeth and fingernails, and then you can't find a fight.
I was thinking about it. I was like, I wonder if they just thought, because like there was a time in boxing where we're like, oh yeah, your brain will just heal itself. It's fine. I wonder if they were like, yeah, like our ears, we don't need that shit. Like just bite off the tip
bite it off.
of it.
It'll grow back like a lizard.
You
tail.
still have holes there. Like you
Yep.
can hear.
I think it's funny. You said that, oh, your brain will just heal. Just put.
Yeah.
We'll just put cocaine and flannel on it.
Cocaine and flannel. Done deal. You are
done.
fixed.
Just wrap your head in cocaine and flannel, and it'll heal itself.
So yeah, maybe we'll have maybe we'll do a whole episode on American Rough and Tumble.
I think we should.
I have a hobby here recently that I've been getting really into, and it's going through hot girls thirst traps on Instagram and then reading their comments. It's so good. Like, oh my God. The things that people say, I don't think that a lot of people understand that people can see what you're writing in the comments.
I know. They're like, I think there are people that go, no one's ever going to see this.
Yeah. It's insane. It's not like, because there's some of it like you add a hot girl and you can just hope it gets lost in the ether.
Or there's that guy that goes, she's going to see this and then we're going to get married.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
this is going to lead to my my relationship starting. So Mackenzie Dern. Yeah. So what you guys can't see is McDern is that Johnny was holding up his extremely large iPad with a picture of Mackenzie Dern. If you don't know who Mackenzie Dern is, you should go look her up. She's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Who she's cute. I think she's cute. I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that out loud.
She's pretty. She's cute, but like honestly, we don't have a lot to work with in women's MMA.
That's true.
And
So in the military we call those desert queens.
Desert queens.
Because like when you deploy, like a chick that you would never talk to in a million years becomes super hot because you haven't seen a chick for like 6 months. So I feel like that's what you're referring to Mackenzie Dern as, is like a desert queen, because there's only like 5 female MMA fighters.
Yeah. And we'll have to look up Paige Van Zandt too, because
Paige Van Zandt, yeah.
Oh man, there's so many good ones. So whenever somebody just commented hashtag Brazzers.
Hashtag a casting couch.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is like, so she posts this and she's got a husband and a brand new baby.
Yeah.
And her husband's going through these comments.
Oh yeah.
Has to be.
Like, listen, here's the thing. I don't give a shit what you post on Instagram. Post your naked self all over Instagram. Awesome. That's what you want to do. What I'm interested in is the comments from these thirsty boys.
Yes.
Oh man. This guy just comments full of milk. What do you think he's talking about?
He's probably talking about her teeth.
Let's look at his profile. Nathan Donahue.
Oh.
I'll bet you there's going to be something about Jesus in the first.
He looks like Nosferatus, the vampire guy.
Yeah. Oh man, this is such a stupid thing to be thinking about, but like anytime one of these female MMA fighters get breast implants, go to their Instagram comments because it gets insane. It gets so wild. I saw there's some of them that are just like, nice tits. And then
Look, this guy wrote Bubba Bouncy.
Bouncy, bouncy.
But who'd he tag? Who is this?
Oh, Jennifer Reilly. I hope that's like his wife.
I hope it is his wife.
What if this is where you found out that I can't read? Or like I'm one of those slow readers?
Well, you do have the text like size. It's like size 15.
That's because this iPad is size 15.
iPad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that it's also a phone. I just want to see you use it as a phone one day.
Yeah.
Just pick it up, but it's
hello,
Zach Morris.
Zach Morris. Oh man. Okay, so we've pretty much used up Mackenzie Dern's comments. Let's go to Paige Van Zandt. I think that's really where it's gonna be.
That's where the money's gonna be.
Yeah.
I met Mackenzie Dern at Masters Worlds one time.
Oh really?
Yeah. Who's that hottie? That's about the dude. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's
is that her husband?
Oh, dude, what happened to his head? That's unfortunate.
It is.
Why does he have such a small head?
If he took his head off, he has a pretty okay body.
Yeah. L.A. or Miami, and this guy just puts or Pornhub.
Dude, some of the Reddit comments that I come across are like super, super witty too. Like just in general.
Yeah. Did you see the BJ Penn getting in street fights here recently?
No.
Dude, he had 2 in the same night. Have you not seen those videos?
No.
Holy shit, dude. So the first one that I saw, and you can look these up like on TMZ or something. The first one I saw.
Is he hurting that bad for money that he's going out and starting street fights to get TMZ credit?
He's lost it, man. He's gone way off the
probably
deep
from
end.
getting punched in the head 100,000 times.
There's some about Hawaiian culture too that like they're a fighting culture.
They are.
But this guy, so the first video that I saw was can barely see, but BJ Penn has this guy's back and just raining bombs on him. Either chokes him unconscious or knocks him unconscious. I don't know which, but just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
They drag him off. He's stomping him on the back of the head.
Jeez.
The comment, somebody goes, "We got a motivated BJ Penn, ladies and gentlemen. The champ is back.
The champ is back."
So then this same night, the video from earlier that prompted this whole attack gets released. BJ, they're in the middle of a street. BJ's like getting into a fist fight with this big Samoan dude. And he just keeps going, you hit like a so-and-so, right? The dude left hooks him and knocks him out cold.
Knocks BJ out?
Knocks BJ Penn out. BJ, his head hits the asphalt. Like he went stiff. Bounced his head off the asphalt. So apparently after that, he goes back and gets his revenge.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
How dare you knock me out in front of my friends?
Now you're dead.
Yeah.
But you know that guy's got a story for days.
Oh, yeah.
Did I ever tell you about the time I knocked out BJ Penn? He gave me his black belt after.
He gave me, yeah.
I don't know why people are surprised by it. Like, yeah, MMA fighters are assholes. Like,
you know, it's funny you say that because, yeah, a lot of them are. And then, of course, on the flip side, you have like a large community that are like super, super. That was always the weirdest thing when I would go to these fights and stuff is that, you know, you go to jiu-jitsu tournaments, for instance. Like, I've never seen a fight at a jiu-jitsu tournament, except for the one time that I had a coach while I was reffing. He tried to fight me. I won't say who it was.
I've seen that a couple times. I had a guy that completely freaked out during a match when I was purple belt. I'd never met this guy in my entire life. We were matched up. That was our first match. It was me and him. And then there were 2 brothers in the division that asked to be separated because they were going to go against each other right off the bat. They're like, we don't mind fighting, but we'd like to go in the finals. So they moved people around. Me and this guy. I don't even know who this guy is. We're not going to compete now, right? So he literally shut down the tournament, throwing a fit because he wasn't going to fight me. He goes, dude, I was supposed to fight Jonny Wester. He's fought in V3. He's a pro MMA fighter. I was like, bro, I lost all those fights at V3. Like,
have you not been listening?
Yeah. Why are you going to make a name off of me?
Yeah.
So then this fool goes out, beats a guy, then quits halfway through his second match. Just 100% gets like passed, and then just like, no, I'm done.
Do you remember? Whenever I don't know if you know who Matt Vernon is?
Yeah.
Really
fought him
really
a
good
couple
black belt.
times.
I fought him as a brown belt, and I was whooping his ass right up until the point where he submitted me with a knee bar.
Yeah.
And he actually got internet famous, more so the guy he was fighting, who he went for a heel hook, and the guy didn't want to tap and like blew his knee out. And then the guy was mad that they wouldn't let him keep fighting after he verbally screamed like a little girl and like blew his knee out, you know? And Matt's super stoic. I like to believe that Matt has a personality. I've just never seen it.
I haven't.
He's
either.
super stoic, but yeah, and like the whole time, like Matt's just staring at him. Like,
Was he in that division at AGF Nationals?
Matt Vernon wasn't. No, not our division.
Yeah.
No, I only remember me, you, and Levi Moles. That was the first time I'd ever been put in like worm guard,
Yeah.
and I didn't know what worm guard was, and I
still don't know.
Dude,
like,
that was the worst match ever because when he rolled me up in this little worm guard position, we stayed in the same position for like 3 minutes because I didn't know how to get out, and obviously he didn't know what to do after he got me in the position. And it like if two mama deers gave birth at the same time, and then those two baby deers fell on top of each other, that's what our match looked like for most of the time. It was just like two baby deers just waddling, but they couldn't get up. Like we couldn't get up. And then he ended up coming up and getting 2 and winning. It is what it is. But in case you didn't know, he's not a jiu-jitsu fighter. He's a pro MMA fighter.
I got to tell you, I've beat Matt Vernon.
Have you?
Yeah.
Does he know that?
Don't tell him.
Don't tell him.
We're 1-1.
What?
We fought twice at brown belt. I fought him at AGF. In the same exact scenario played out both times. He went for a toe hold. My defense of the toe hold is a berimbolo. And so I took his back, failed the back attempt. As he escaped, came up to mount, and then arm triangled him off the mount. Yeah, arm triangle.
Do you remember that time that you tried to toe hold Kevin Williams?
Yeah, and then I got berimboloed into an
Into
armbar. So the second time
You should try to make a name off yourself or off of Kevin Williams now.
Yeah, no, he already did that for me. He got my name out there, just not the way I wanted it,
dude.
And then the second time we fought, I competed against a guy and broke his foot in a toe hold. Like I felt dude. My coach tells me like move up higher on the toes to get better leverage, right? As soon as I move up, I feel his foot just like disintegrate in my hand. I get like squeamish.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to hurt people. And when that happened, I was like, ugh. You can see in the video, I get up and I look away because I'm like, I don't want to look at it. So then immediately afterwards, I fight Matt again. Same scenario happens. He goes for the toe hold. I start to berimbolo. He gets that angle. And I feel like I probably could have held out a little bit longer. But I was to the point where like, dude, I don't want my foot broken.
Yeah, I just watched what happened.
Yeah. And so I'm going to get him again, man.
I'm sure you guys will get your chance.
We're going to go toe hold for days. So I'm tired of losing off the toe hold, honestly.
Yeah, that last one was a pretty significant one. And in your defense, though, I would have done the same thing that you did against Kevin Williams. Who would have saw that coming? Like,
yeah, it was nuts. And like, I was to the point where there's like 40 seconds left in the match. I was down by 2, and I was like, what else am I going to do?
Yeah,
I got to do something. I've tried to pass. I've tried to do everything. Couldn't stabilize anything. I got to just create movement. You
went up a weight class too, though, because he's like a 205 guy.
I don't feel like he's that big. He didn't. I mean, he's not outstandingly strong.
Mm-hmm.
He's not heavy. I mean, he feels like my weight.
Yeah.
But he said he was about 190. I've been moving up in weight a little bit too because I'm
accident
chubby now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm dirty.
You've just been dirty bulking for 3 years.
Dirty bulking, yeah. Donuts and ice cream. Yeah, that's all I've been doing. But yeah, I'm tired of winning or losing off that damn toe hold, dude. It's like
I don't know that I've ever actually done a footlock in competition.
That's the only one that I got.
I don't ever do it.
Yeah. I'm afraid to attack the feet because I'm afraid my feet are gonna get attacked. Yeah.
I don't win a lot though, so it works out.
Yeah. So you've won a match. What's that like? Kevin made me famous on Reddit, and now it makes me not want to post anything to Reddit ever again.
Because everyone's gonna. Well, you were doing really well for a while there.
Dude,
because
don't say that.
You were.
The one thing that I hate is when people are like, "Dude, you did a really good job."
No. I didn't mean in the match. I meant on Reddit.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were posting some really good videos and stuff, and I was always like trying to co-sign on them so that get some traction on them for you. And I don't even go on Reddit anymore. Like all I do on Reddit now is just look at like hot Latinas and stuff. Like, I just go to the really adult Reddits now.
I've never been in a place where I can navigate so seamlessly through the worst of the internet and then into like the community. Like I can go
super weird.
Looking up like weird bestiality and then go right back into a conversation about jiu-jitsu.
There's one that I frequent. It's called Natty or Juice, and all it is it's dudes. It's a bunch of dudes posting pictures of other dudes, asking other dudes if they think that this guy is natural, if he's on steroids.
That's
all
awesome.
it is.
That's pretty much what BJJ steroids
That's
is doing
it is.
on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
That's called the jiu-jitsu community. These are
Okay.
yeah. So
I'm gonna read some of these. I'm gonna read some of these comments. So to give some context to this, so Jonny fought a guy named Kevin Williams at AGF, and Jonny went for a toe hold, which is a submission move, and somehow Kevin Williams turned it into an arm lock and beat Jonny. And
in incredible fashion.
It
It
was
was
incredible.
highlight reel
it was
material.
yeah, I know
for
that
sure.
because I saw the highlight that he posted on his own Facebook,
yeah.
his Instagram about it. So
I can't be mad about it because
no,
like,
it was
dude,
super sick.
you won, you earned it, and if it happened the other way, I'd be doing the same thing.
Yeah. Like this is a stupid name. That kind of geek. I bet he's super witty. So he says, I assume this would be a way of escaping the armbar via the toe hold. I was wrong.
So was I.
Barrel Dodge said, did he wait for that? Blows my mind. Either way to hit that in a competition. So sick.
Also blew my mind.
Yeah, and he's a blue belt. Man, that was a desperate toe hold. He had no control of that leg whatsoever. No idea why you go for that there. but then he was like, it was nice.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know why I was going for it either.
I thought it was appropriate at the time. And that's why you don't go for toe holds off the bolos. That guy's super smart.
There was an argument between people. This guy was like, I've been doing bolos for like 12 years, bro. Like, don't argue with me on this. I'm like,
Well, what this one right here says, the toe hold counter is why you don't bolo at a high level. So for those who don't understand what Baron Bolo is a jiu-jitsu move. You're just going to have to YouTube it to know what we're talking about. I don't use it. I think in my opinion, it's cheating. I don't think anyone should do Baron Bolo. I think it's cheating.
All I do.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's cheating because Jonny does it to me.
Yeah.
And it says he didn't figure for his legs to lock his hips down for the counter. The execution was poor. Like,
thanks, bro.
And this is probably like a white belt.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
he watched John Donner's DVD,
so he knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
And he's completely critiquing your attempt.
Did he type that out in an accent?
He did. It is read in it is in an English accent. It's I don't know what this even means. Wookmano Hands is the guy's name, which is awesome. But he's like, that's what his ass gets for going for the toe.
Look how many downvotes that one has. Is that the one? It's got like it's 9 downvotes.
Yeah,
everybody's like, shut up, dude.
People are like, you're a retard. Not that there's anything wrong with being a retard.
Dude, I had somebody, we're training, and he goes, oh, I got to drill this on my retard side. And then looks at, this is another black belt, and then looks at me and goes, dude, you can't say that anymore. I was like, I know, I'm not the one that said it. And it's like, we haven't been able to say that like ever.
That's hilarious. I think that's so funny because, they're like, oh, yeah, I train this on my retard side. What is this? Is that Bo Nickel?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I had to look who Bo Nickel was. He's not wrong, dude. I look just like him.
I'm gonna look up Bo Nickel. Hold on. This is one of those times where I wish we had like the camera.
Yeah.
So now everybody's gonna be. We gotta. You know what we should do is when we get the Instagram, we should post a picture of you and Bo Nickel next to each other.
We'll have an Instagram by the time this comes out.
That's
the Rough and Tumble Podcast will be our Instagram.
That is such a.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who would even know who Bo Nickel was?
Dude, I have no I guess he's a wrestler.
Yeah, but he's such an obscure. He wrestles for Penn State.
Yeah.
But like that's like somebody going.
Who's looking at Bo Nickel enough to be like, oh, that guy looks like Bo Nickel.
He's like, I've been waiting my whole life to find Bo Nickel's doppelganger.
There he is. We got him, boys.
We got him, boys. That's like somebody going.
Yeah. So shout out to Bo Nichols.
Shout out to Bo Nichols. Go check him out. You can follow him on Twitter because at No Bickle.
At No Bickle.
That's what his name is. No Bickle. He swapped the N in the B. He's witty.
Oh.
That's what he did. So it's No Bickle. At No Bickle. You can go check him out on Twitter.
He's not a black belt though.
He's not a black belt.
We are.
We are black
collectively.
Collectively.
Not like if we train at our gyms with different belts, but when we're put together, we're
one black belt.
Right.
Is that Bo Nickel? That's the best one so far.
Oh yeah, I think that's
hilarious. That's the last one. I didn't want to. It's such an obscure.
He looks, and I can't argue with it. I'm like, damn it, dude, he does look like me.
Speaking of which, if there was one, I've got to narrow this down so it'll actually, hopefully, because this happens to me a lot. I don't see it, and I don't agree with this. But if you were to name one professional wrestler that I resembled, who would it be?
John Cena.
Every fucking time.
Yeah, absolutely.
God damn it. I don't see it. But I was at the
It's the shape of your face.
it's because I have a weird shaped head.
No, it's not a weird shaped head, Mitchell.
Is it?
Use your Christian name. It's not Mitch. Listen, Mitchell, you've
Only
got
my mother calls me Mitchell.
a beautiful shaped face. It's just different.
I do have a weird shaped head. I feel like my head looks like a dreidel. Like you could pop it off and spin it on Hanukkah Day.
I'll say that you've got a very military head.
I do.
Like it was made for that square top.
Well, what's weird
haircut,
is that my head grew. Like,
as soon as you signed up for the military.
yeah, like I went to basic and I graduated basic training, and then my mom couldn't even find me at the graduation because she was looking for some other person.
Where's my pea-sized head child?
Where's my normal sized kid? Where's he at? Who's this giant dreidel head kid? People, if you go look up dreidels, that joke will be way funnier.
If you've never seen a dreidel,
If you've never seen a dreidel,
go Google one.
Yeah. No, the reason I asked that question is because I get people tell me that all the time that I look like John Cena, which I don't agree. And I was there's a big red gas station next to my house that I always go to every single day when I go to work or come home from work. And the kid behind the counter is like, "Oh my God, you look just like, I can't think of the guy's name. But he's like a wrestler, man." He's like, and I was like, "It's John Cena." And he goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, I get it all the time. And frankly, I would appreciate it if you'd stop saying it." You know, I didn't say that to him. I just told him, I was like, "I am John Cena." And then I gave my autograph. But I signed it Mitch Hall.
Okay, I'm gonna go pee again because I drank too much water, and then I've got a special surprise for you.
Oh shit!
So you got to keep it. You got to keep everybody occupied. Give me like 2 minutes.
I hope you guys go out and look up who Bo Nickel is, because it really does look like Johnny. That's such an obscure reference to bring up, but this is the second time that he's had to go take a piss. I've been holding mine this whole time because I'm a fucking professional. Plus, I feel awkward going to the bathroom at other people's houses. I've actually had to poop for probably the last 2 hours, but I've been holding it because I don't know their bathroom situation.
This is a real life.
Where did you get that?
It's my old roommates. He left it.
Why did he have it?
When he was a kid. This is a John Cena wrestling belt.
What are the odds? Oh, it has a spinner in it.
Right?
So
the only championship belt Jonny Wester's ever been able to hold.
You never got to. You
feel
didn't.
that shit.
God,
that is meaty. We're gonna.
That's super heavy. I wish you guys could.
Before we'll bring it out again because that's gonna be like at the front of the table.
Are those diamonds?
Oh yeah.
I don't know that they're. There's no way these are. That's like 100 diamonds. There's no way that's real.
It's an expensive belt, man.
If that was the case, this belt would be worth $6.2 million.
Yeah, when you're John Cena, you get the best, man.
It has his name on it. Did he steal this from John Cena's house?
He's the kid that would be obsessed with wrestling. Like you
Did
look
he have
at him.
Did he have like a disease? Like was he dying?
No,
this wasn't a Make-A-Wish Foundation.
He's a short, chubby kid.
So that was his disease.
Yeah. I feel like there's a look to the person that would buy this belt.
Yeah, a short, chubby, fat kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
who makes YouTube videos in the mirror of him holding this belt with no shirt on?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we get the Instagram page up, we're gonna make sure to bring this out.
I'm so glad that John Cena came up, and I remembered that was in the garage. I never asked you my question, my
5 questions?
my zinger.
Oh, your zinger.
Yeah. Okay. So you asked me if I'd rather have a vagina for a mouth
Yep.
or a penis for a nose.
That's fact.
Reverse card.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna ask you: would you rather have nipple-sized penis or penis-sized nipples? And they function the same.
What do you mean they function the same?
Well,
a nipple doesn't do anything.
No. If you have penises for nipples,
then you can ejaculate out of them.
Yeah.
Do I have 2 of them?
They get hard. Yeah, you have 2 of them. They get hard just like a normal ween.
You know what? And so, would I be allowed to wear a bra?
Oh
or
yeah.
would I have to wear
you
t-shirts?
could wear whatever you
I could.
want.
Okay.
Yeah, the choice is yours.
Do I also have my normal penis? So I have two functioning penises for nipples, and my regular.
And
penis.
your normal functioning.
Oh,
penis.
I'm going penis nipples all day.
Penis nipples.
Can you imagine having you could literally just rotate around them.
Oh, that's true. There's so many possibilities of that.
Because if you had a nipple-sized penis, then
you'd have to have 3 girlfriends.
you'd have to have 3 girlfriends.
One for each penis.
That's true.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked about the bra thing is because it would be embarrassing. Like every time you were around a hot chick, you would. The
reason I asked about the bra thing is if like it's actually gonna happen. Well, the reason that I brought that up was
because if you get turned on, your nipples are gonna get hard,
right?
But it's gonna be a penis. What if you know how like so when girls get turned on, they get wet. What if guys' buttholes got wet instead?
Explain that again.
Where's the clitoris?
Yeah. How's this happen? Dude, my butthole's wet most of the time anyway. It's wet right now.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, I just have swamp ass. Like,
could you imagine
90% of my life?
Because I've asked that question to people before, and they're like, "That's just silly." Like, it's not silly.
It's not.
Women have the same problem.
Yeah.
I assume. I don't know. I've never made a girl wet, so.
God put a playground right next to
a dumpster.
A dumpster. I mean, like, it could have been like 1 inch away from a disaster.
It could have.
This podcast has really disintegrated fast. I'd say it's probably a pretty good place to call it quits for the day.
Thank you for listening to the Rough and Tumble Podcast.